Welcome to Your Local MVP, the show that brings you face to face with the game changers who are revolutionizing local businesses and transforming our community. I'm your host, Eric Kneller, and today we're diving deep into a world that touches every single one of our lives: the art and science of bathroom remodeling. But this isn't just any conversation about home improvement. We're about to uncover an incredible story of innovation, transformation, and entrepreneurial spirit. Get ready to meet Daniel Reed from CinBath, a visionary who took an unconventional path from music ministry to becoming one of Cincinnati's leading bathroom renovation experts. What makes this story fascinating? Imagine someone with a master's degree in music theory who now orchestrates stunning bathroom transformations that are changing lives across the tri-state area. From therapeutic walk-in tubs that rival high-end spa experiences to cutting-edge shower solutions that blend safety with luxury, Daniel and his team at CinBath are redefining what's possible in bathroom remodeling. In this episode, we'll explore how CinBath is leveraging artificial intelligence to revolutionize customer service, discover the surprising health benefits of their therapeutic tubs that you never knew existed, and learn why bathroom remodeling isn't just about aesthetics, it's about improving quality of life. Whether you're a homeowner thinking about your next renovation project, an entrepreneur interested in business innovation, or simply someone who appreciates a great success story, you're in for a treat. So, stick around as we pull back the curtain on this fascinating industry, share some incredible transformation stories, and maybe even pick up some insider tips about bathroom remodeling that could save you thousands of dollars. Trust me, after this conversation, you'll never look at your bathroom the same way again. Hey, this is Eric here with your local MVP, and I have got Daniel Reed from CinBath with me this morning on the show. Excited to have you, Daniel. We know each other for a little bit now, but I know there's a lot that I don't know about bathroom remodeling. In fact, I've done a lot of work mostly outside the house or under the ground when it comes to construction. But bathrooms, the most I'm really going to do in there is maybe change that leaky toilet flapper. And I know my limitations, but going in, I also realize it's one of the most necessary and useful rooms in the house. So tell us a little bit about how you got into bathroom remodeling and what got you into that line of work.
So I actually used to be a worship minister, so really good bathroom background. And these degrees posted above me are all music degrees. So I share that to say it's not rocket science. It's not like you have to have an amazing sort of background in that. What I would say is one of these degrees is a master's in music theory, which is understanding how music works. I'm just the kind of person who I like to understand how things work. Like, if you handed me a clock, I'd be like, cool, let's pop the back open and look at all the gears. Let's figure out how it works. So, in the home remodeling industry, nothing is too crazy, but in the bathroom, if you get it wrong, it's thousands, tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars of mistakes. So it's super clutch to get it right when you've got a water supply source or when you're draining 50 gallons at a time. That's a lot of volume of water. It's not just like a dishwasher leak. It's a human dishwasher. The human washer leaks, you've got a whole big problem. So understanding where the cogs fit and how all that goes together is just what I like. And then even from a higher level, understanding how a business works, how marketing works, how to go from being strangers with somebody who's never heard about your product to getting them through the marketing and sales process and being able to deliver them something that they need. I just really enjoy that whole journey and getting somebody to understand our product better and be able to serve them and their needs. So that's how I got into it. I've been doing it about 7 years full time and probably 15 years kind of part time.
Okay. You mentioned a little bit about your customer base. Tell us a little bit about your local area, who your customers are, and maybe one project that recently you've been most excited about completing and a transformation that took place.
So we're called CinBath, Sin for Cincinnati, Bath because we specialize in the bathroom, but in particular, we really like to do walk-in tubs, which is like a therapeutic tub. And truth be told, I'm 37. I would get one of these for myself to have as like a daily part of the routine because of all the health benefits. So, ice bath, this is more like a hydrotherapy, but helps your joints, your ailments, prolongs life is really what we're going for. So I used to think of a walk-in tub as like, oh, your knee is bad and you just can't get into the tub. That's like this much of it. The all the other health benefits far outweigh any of that. It's like, yeah, this is a great product that really helps people. And then we also do walk-in showers, which is a little bit more on the economic scale. There's a lot less moving pieces, pumps, things like that. So walk-in shower is our other breadwinner.
So that's important on both the functionality, the look, and the safety, like you were just talking about. But really, the therapeutic tub, you could start that, like you said, at any age. Kids would love to be in that kind of a bath too, right? But there, because the health benefits go far beyond just the achy joints. There's a ton that I've read up that really beneficial from those, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Where do you want to take? You'd mentioned taking people through the journey. So where would you like to see your business go in the next 12 to 18 months?
We have really tried to branch out from, so we're part of a franchise. That's how we got into the bathroom space doing showers. We're really trying to branch out and expand our business across the metro area, across the tri-state even. And one of the ways that we are trying to do that is through implementing AI, because there's only so much that a human can do when it comes to call response time, when it comes to knowledge of a product. So we had these last 3 years, we've been using a call center, which is dependent on somebody being available to either make the inbound, receive an inbound call, or be available to dial out when a new lead hits our system. We have since added an entirely new line of over 20 different walk-in tubs. Each of those have different specs and things that you need to know. And so as we're looking to grow our business, we would really like to be double the size in 18 months. So either that means we need to hire twice as many people, which is going to require 3 times as much work as the business owner, because I have to hire them, I have to train them on the products and our processes, and then I have to go find the salespeople to do it and like all that. Through the use of AI, it's been amazing because we can train the system to do all that front end work. And then I can focus on the sales aspect of that. I can focus on the installer aspect. I can focus on making the business to business connections for our materials, on how we can service the customer on the back end, and then also I can focus a little more on marketing elements. So it's been a good lift so far in just trying to expand our reach, and especially in today's day and age, that speed to lead aspect is super clutch.
That's one of my next questions, what you see in the trends, and I'm guessing the expectation from a customer base is changing too, because we've seen in the last certainly 5 to 10 years that the shift of power going to the consumer, but now the expectation for speed, and I would say there's less of not only just a time span, but their focus is narrowed. When Twitter hit originally with the 140 characters, it chopped up our attention span and the language and everything else. And I know that your base of customers spans quite a bit. And I think people tend to write off and say, well, once somebody's a certain age, they're not using that technology as much. But I think that it's really catching up. I know I've finally got both of my parents on smartphones, and there's those questions that come up, but they're in there on social media, and their expectation is probably matching those of their younger generations where everybody wants something faster. So that's a great insight. What advice would you give to somebody, since you've got the span of time you have, and if somebody wants to get into the remodeling world, not to encroach on your territory, but what kind of advice would you give them? Because you've seen it, you're operating with independence, but part of a franchise. So what would be important for somebody that said, this is, I want to go down this path, and because you gave great background, didn't matter that if you like the way to figure things out, maybe with your background too, you could help with the acoustics, so there could be some good singing in the shower. But what advice would you give to somebody just starting out?
Depends on what your skill set is what I would say. So if you are the technician, if you're the handyman, the person who's actually doing that install, then that's the lowest hanging fruit. That's the best chance to make money. You're the one interacting with your customer directly on the day-to-day aspect. But what I would say is be prepared for all of the bookkeeping and the finances and the government paperwork you have to do. And there's just a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And if it's the thing that I just want to do is I want to work with my hands, and I'm sorry, there's all this other crap that has to get done. So just be prepared. Now, if you have a background that's more on the marketing side or more on I know how to run a business, I just don't know how to do that. Great. Play to your strengths and do that stuff and do it really well. But also make sure that you're following up with your customer base individually. Make sure that you're watching margins and paying your installers fairly. Make sure that so you can approach it from either the front end or the back end. And I think either is totally fine. Play to your strength, but just be aware, be cognizant that there is as a running a business holistically, all of those things have to happen. And so whether it's you doing them or whether you're delegating and paying somebody else to do them, which again, totally fine. Just make sure you're accounting for that in your numbers and then watching margins, making sure everything is there. For Cincinnati, there are a lot of bath companies. So if you wanted to break into the bath space in our market, it's totally doable. But just know you would be paying a premium for that marketing spend because all that marketing is already taken. So you have to buy it from someone else, which means you actually have to pay a little bit more than what somebody else is paying in order to get that same lead. So if you're getting into home remodeling, my best advice is find a need in your area and meet that need. So don't just start like, oh, this guy has a bathroom remodeling company and it's going well. I'm going to do the same thing. Your market might already be saturated in that. Are there any is there a dearth of HVAC technicians or chimney sweeps in your area? Or what is that niche of home remodeling that nobody else is doing or they're not doing it well? Because if you start there, your growth is going to be like 1,000% in 3 years. You're gonna be crazy, crazy busy. Whereas if you try to just mirror what somebody else is doing, your growth path is going to be arduous, is the word that comes to mind. It's gonna be hard, it's gonna be long, it's gonna be slow. You can do it. Play to your strengths, find a need.
That's some great advice. There's an old analogy that I like. I heard it years ago, and it was like, what do you need to have the most successful hamburger business? And the mind typically goes to, well, I know I make a better burger than 90% of the fast food out there, but at the end of the day, you really need hungry customers. So that is a perfect thing to tell somebody to go out wherever they're living and say, a lot of times great ideas comes from solving your own problems, but then see how where that missing piece is and be the puzzle piece for that. That's great advice. I'd like to hear a little bit. Just give me a day in the life of your customer journey. So somebody finds their way to you, they get their information answered, and tell us about your process going forward, where there's somebody decides that they want to get you into their home to transform their bathroom. How does that whole life cycle look like?
Most of our customers probably find us online. So whether they're interacting with our website directly or perhaps through a third party affiliate. Let's say they find us online, there's a chance to kind of self-educate, right? The website gives some information and they think it's interesting enough that they want to book an appointment. So then they're going to book an appointment. We come out to the home. You don't have to come to our shop and listen to a spiel. We come to your home. We're going to get measurements. We're going to talk about your needs. We're going to talk about what it is that, what did you see on our website that made you want to reach out? Our job is to be the expert and to say, okay, based on what you're describing, what you need, here's a great fit, or here are a couple options. And so we do that, give a price. Usually we're able to give that price right there in the house because I've developed a different price book for all the different services. Truth be told, sometimes we lose money on an install because I came up with the pricing and then this person's house is super unique and weird to get in, and well, we have to honor the price. So that's always tricky. But, we usually give a price right then and there, and we're able to say, hey, we'll be out in 3 weeks to get that installed, or 6 weeks, or you're on vacation for a couple weeks. So we'll work around that. We order material, stage it at our warehouse. We wait until we have everything before we come out, because that's also a thing. You could demo everything out, you can install 90% of it, but if you're missing that one coupling, the tub is not going to operate, or it's not going to drain, or it's not going to be good. So we wait till we have everything, we show up, we get it installed, and it's usually within a week. The first installs that I was doing when I started my business took 4 weeks to complete. And now we're down to a couple days, a week. So we've got a pretty good process on the install side. We have a little party usually. It's the installer and the customer and me and everybody. We go in the bathroom, we shoot confetti, sit in the tub, we turn it on, every little splash party, Sometimes we do that ending, but
The owner request, because they're celebrating updating one of the most important rooms in their house. That certainly, I appreciate the shortening of the supply chain. I'm sure there were some times over the last 4 to 6 years that was pretty shaky, but it's good to hear that tightened up again. You've got your local supply people out making things happen, so I'm glad that that's a boom for you. Anything else? Like, people go to cinbath.com, and that's where they can learn all about everything you do, from showers to the specialized tubs, and get all that information. Anything else or something you'd like to tell people, take action right now? What should do next?
if you're in the Cincinnati market, you should totally check out CinBath.com. We've got a lot of great offerings, and everybody on staff I like personally. So there's nobody that wouldn't be fun to interact with. If you would like to just meet people who are friendly and find out about your bathroom, we would love to come take a look.
Awesome.
Uh, there
Awesome.
you go.
Daniel, thank you so much for hopping on, your local MVP today, and sharing a little bit more about your journey and background. And we'll look forward to seeing you online. And if you're in the Cincinnati area, certainly go to CinBath and update one of your most important spaces in your house. Thanks again.
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking, look, we're probably going to engage a couple people who, for whatever reason, they didn't engage with us on that first go round. Maybe they just never answered the phone. Maybe they were in the hospital. Life happens. And so, best case scenario is we're just hitting them in a sweet spot, or we're catching them by surprise. I'll tell you, actually, a lot of our third party affiliates, they get bombarded with phone calls. When you reach out on Angie or one of those types of lists, you'll get a dozen phone calls a day, from because Angie sells your information to three, four, five different companies. And if all those companies are doing what they're supposed to do, then they're calling you right away. And if you don't answer, then they're going to call you again. And so it actually creates a situation. A customer thinks, oh, I'm doing the right thing by putting my information in here. I'm going to get multiple bids. Then they get blown up and they just don't interact at all. So by re-engaging a month, 2 months, 3 months later, we're catching them when nobody else is reaching out to them at that time. And so we have actually engaged, I don't know what the, do you know the percentage?
We're only about a third of the way through your list as far as what you totally turned over, and yeah, we're still in the it's all across the board average. You'll see a 1 to 3%. So of your what I called the by temperature your warm or your hotter leads, which are ones that you gave quotes to, we were getting about a 2% return on and about 0.75% off of the cold, but you never write anybody off because I know one of the cold ones turned out to be the biggest, I think the biggest conversion so far in there.
Right. Yeah. So it's been great. And again, I mean, we've already got the lead list.
Hmm.
It's a ton of extra work to pull that list and send that information over. And then the AI software engages with them. It's pretty stinking believable. When when I have done some test calls, it's if I didn't know, I don't think I would know. Unless you catch the script at just the right moment or ask just the right question, you can kind of feel it. But otherwise, it's a great program. I've been super impressed. And I'll say this, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I would have seen this coming.
I appreciate that. And I said the same thing 12 months ago. The voice wasn't ready, the training wasn't ready, and I'm just really excited for what's going to come because, you know, not everyone's going to say yes, and then they're going to get to be reminded later on, and there's other things that we can do. This is such a great time to use this. I call it the leads revival method, but it's part of the three main pillars of your business. There's what happens before, what happens during, and what happens after. So we're really going to be able to utilize this, whether it's voice or texting technology, or actually any messaging technology, as we're getting ready to plug it into your front end and start communicating. But yeah, certainly after the fact, the more information we can gather about a customer and stay in front of them, the more that they're going to think about you. And then, hey, this is time for referral, or people move, they stay in the area and they need something updated. So I appreciate the opportunity to work with you and your team, and looking forward to some great things in the near future, helping to hit those 12 to 18 month goals we just talked about.
For sure. Thanks.